Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to another exciting episode of Psychology Talks. And I'm your host, Amreen Nadeem. And today we're going to discuss how to develop mental resilience. What is resilience? Resilience is a trait or is a way to get up again after facing failure with the same enthusiasm. It's not easy because when we face failure, we feel heartbroken, we feel that it's not worth it, and we are on the verge of giving up because it's not easy to face these obstacles. When we face it and when we see that we are falling again and again, we lose motivation. But one thing that, like, when we keep going on, this is the only way to succeed, and that requires resilience. But how to develop it? This is one major question that we're going to discuss with our esteemed guest, Hanane and Anoua. She is the resilience coach and she has transformed her life through this trait. She has personal struggles where she was facing problems, like she had faced accident and she had almost lost her eye. But it's not just that she one day she had an accident and she lost the eye. She had gone through painful process of multiple surgeries where she was hoping to get her vision back, but every time she tries to attempt to restore her vision, but she used to face only failure. And then she decided that, okay, we need to transform ourselves to achieve our goal. It's not just something that you need to take failures and internalize them. It's something that you need to move forward and take that motivation to move on further. And her journey was so inspiring, like the way she changed her life through self-realization and actualization, that now she penned down her journey in her first book, and that's what we're going to talk about in our discussion. She Her book is Be the Best, and it's available on Amazon. So let's welcome Hanane. Welcome, Hanane. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's really, really a pleasure to be here and share my passion for leadership, for resilience, for mindset coaching with your audience. Resilience has been always a subject very dear to me, and I am the
Yeah,
result of living a life of resilience. My whole story
yeah,
is a story of resilience from one
yes,
challenge to another. But it's
yeah,
amazing when you are focused on the learning and when you have gratitude in your heart.
yeah,
Even those adversities, even those difficulties turn into blessing. So
absolutely.
I
Yeah,
believe that every single person is unique and every single person has a great potential. And it is my mission as a professional coach to make it clear to them. It
yeah,
was not clear to me though when I first started my career in empowerment. My first project was to coach and empower myself. I
yeah,
spent years and years learning every single day,
yeah,
researching and teaching these skills to my students, to teachers, to executives, to political leaders. And it's amazing when you are just yourself,
yeah,
sharing your story, being vulnerable, being willing to share without faking it, without sugar coating it,
yeah,
how you get the trust of people.
yeah,
So I always wanted my students and clients to learn about personal growth and resilience using examples from my own journey, using anecdotes and real life examples. And my
yeah,
takeaway today is that every transformation that I witnessed came from self awareness and developing this mindset that makes us not only bouncing back in face of difficulty, but navigating change with ease and inspiring others to do the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Your journey is absolutely inspiring. And I read your book recently, and really it touched my soul when I actually was going through the pages that you've written. The pain you've gone through is and then the way you changed those pain into your strengths is amazing. Your transformation is amazing. I mean, and that's what I really want you to share with our audience today. I've given a little bit of introduction, but let's our audience directly hear from you that
Yeah, thank you.
what was your journey that actually led you to write in this book.
Well, this book, as I told you, started in 1998 in
Wow.
Barnes& Noble when I decided to buy this notebook.
Okay.
During 1998 and 1999, that year, I was in an exchange program and I spent 2 semesters at Sanford and I had to go through a lot of surgeries. Well, two major ones, but a lot of back and forth visits for medical treatment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And one day, Barnes& Noble was my favorite place to go to because I know I will take a book and connect with myself and just absorb myself in reading. So I decided that day to buy this notebook because I was feeling so overwhelmed and frustrated that I understood that no way that I leave these events undocumented, and I knew that one day I will write my own book. So in 2021, I started thinking about writing the book. I couldn't do that before because I didn't have the belief that I could write a book. And you know the process of changing beliefs. It took me years to change that belief and turn that belief into an empowering one and tell myself, hey, you can do it. But in between, I was not sitting there. I was writing every single day on LinkedIn. I started writing on different portals and different press and magazines. And it took me years to develop that confidence that I can do it. And in 2021, I put it in my bucket list and I opened a file on my computer and I started writing the chapters of my book. So that was funny because each time I started writing, I would turn into tears whenever I remember all those traumatic experiences from the accident, the loss of my eye, all the things that I had to go through. So, and it was so hard for me to keep writing that I decided to give up on the idea of writing the book because I was thinking about memoir and diving deep and then in November 2023, 8 months ago, I had another reconstructive surgery. And that surgery, for me, I needed just 1 month to go back to my work and everything would be fine. Except that after 1 month, my eye was not ready to anything. So, and as I learned through this process, all this challenges that I had in the past, I learned something that whenever something goes wrong in my life, I learned to start looking around me and to ask myself, what shall I learn from this experience? What this detour or this delay has to teach me? So so when I saw that I have months in front of me that I have to handle with further medical treatments, I went back to my file and I decided to write, but I wanted more the lessons, to talk more about the lessons than to focus on the story itself. That's why in my book there will be like 30% story, but the major part is the lessons that I learned. This is how my
Yeah.
book came.
Yeah, yeah. I actually, when I was going through your book, I really like this the way at the end you kept it so simple. These simple ways to like how to retrain your mind, or these tips actually so easy to uh, grasp the message that you can practically do it. It's because sometimes, like I've read many books on a book on this topic, but they're like, of course, long written text, which actually gives you a little bit difficulty to grasp in the message. But it is too to the point and very easy to grasp in. And one point, and I must say, when I was going through your book, which really actually made me cry, when you written that. That your eyes, like, you could not even afford to cry, because the more you cry, it turns into blood, and then literally in blood.
Yes.
And it it I felt the pain seriously, and it actually brought tears to my eyes, that how painful you would have been, like, going through the experience. But after that, of course, the lessons you drew from that is
Yes.
amazing. And that's what your transformation. And I always say that pain is there to teach us, to
Yes.
grow us into something better.
Yes.
So yeah, it's,
I spent 5 years with a bleeding eye, and
oh my God.
I used to have remarks like, "Oh my God, what do you have in your eye? I see blood coming." And
Yeah.
I know about it, but I would pretend that, "Oh, really? This should be
uh,
easy." And I would go to the bathroom and do
uh,
something, and then I would turn
yeah.
into tears. I'm like, "Oh my God, when shall this stop?" And I
Yeah.
didn't even know how it's gonna stop. But
Yeah.
anyway, it's painful for sure.
Yeah.
But if we keep an eye on that, it's just despair and despair. But I want to share like something from my book that I wrote,
Yeah.
that I myself, when I wrote that, um, I turned again into tears. So
Yeah.
you have two choices. You can take the road of distress or hope. The first one is dark and empty. Nothing grows there except thorns. The more you walk through it, the more you get lost and you get only pain and despair. The road of hope is still hard and tough, but
Yeah.
requires trust. You have to
Yeah.
believe in something even when you don't see anything happening, and have the
Yeah.
grit to keep believing the only good will come from it.
Yeah.
No,
That's
it's difficult. I learned that from my father, that gratitude was our daily practice, and even in difficult moments, I would be grateful for the simplest, tiniest things, for the support of my father, for my health, for every single thing around me, and it
yeah.
made a difference to me, really.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, your words are so, I mean, as I said, it touched like these words touch the soul, that, it seems that there are times when these darkest moments, you you feel you usually lose your hope, and you feel that, I think that's it. And but during that time, we need to gather all the strength. But I want you to, like, share your experience, that how you kept going, because it is not easy, as you mentioned. The path to success is not easy, especially in the times when you seem that there is no hope and there is no light, you seem. So how do you develop that kind of resilience, especially during the times when you see no hope?
Yeah, of course, there are situations that are very hard, and I still experience them from time to time, because the loss of my eye is not something that, okay, it's over. It's a daily discomfort. It's a lifelong. Um, I told you my last surgery dates back to November, and after November, I had another one like 3 months ago, and I don't
Oh,
know about the future. So this is not about something. Okay, we're done here, but this is something, and maybe the people who have difficulties like me, that they have to handle them on a daily basis for the rest of their lives, they need the resilience, I mean, every single day. And that's why I
yeah.
choose to do what I'm doing right now, because empowering others, it's a healing process for me, that healed that part of myself that needed help and support in a difficult moment. So, uh, my daughter Yasmina is
Yeah.
very is a very good player in tennis, and I used to go
Wow.
with her and spend hours watching her playing tennis. And when she's in the game, I saw her many times losing many shots and winning, losing many
Mhm.
shots. And I noticed also whenever she loses the shots, she would have to go back to the standing point and reset and then play again.
Yeah.
And when watching her playing, I was relating to resilience. I have this sometimes this habits and reflections whenever I go and I see something and I can relate to something in my field. So if you ask me about resilience and how to develop resilience, I mean, I learned to develop resilience taking notes from different experiences that I have in my life. And when I
Mhm.
look at tennis, having developing resilience is having a goal first, because we
Yeah.
are all players in life. Every
Yeah.
single day we play we play somehow games because we need
Yes.
we need to work, we need to do this and this and this. So having clarity of the goal that we want to achieve makes us focused,
Yeah.
and also the capacity to adapt easily and then rebounce again and then go into the standing point each time we have a difficulty and then go back. And this is something that I talked about also in my book, and this is what I always did whenever I had something difficult. And sometimes there is no positive thing in that situation.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I experienced a situation where there is no positive. I spent 4 months in a hospital and there was nothing positive. I was alone, and the doctors kept me just, I kept going back and forth, and I didn't know what to do. Some told me that I need to go for another surgery, others told me something else, and I just didn't know how that would end. But you
Yeah.
see, I developed this habit. Okay, now there is nothing to change about the situation. I cannot control it. What can I control right now? And I go and I search for things. And my refuge always is libraries and books,
Yeah.
always. So
That's
I
right.
was in Boston. I remember the libraries, the museums, the things that makes me just connect with myself and just uh, try to get more resources, inner resources, and then rebounds again and try to do something different and learn from it. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's difficult and sometimes it's not.
Yeah, that's actually very true that there are certain situations when there is no positive thing, and that's okay to accept that there is no positive thing. And in those situations, as you mentioned, having a goal that that goal keeps us going. And I actually relate that goal is to our life purpose. If you know what your purpose is, that will keep you going, that will keep your
Mhm.
motivation alive to achieve your goal, no matter what the situation is. I often give the example of Viktor Frankl because he's one of my favorite author. He was the psychologist,
Mhm.
uh, I think psychiatrist, but he survived Holocaust. He was in those concentration camps. He lost his family there,
Mhm.
but he had this purpose in his mind that when if he survived those concentration camps or those Holocaust, he will write the book. He will share his experience, and that purpose gave him motivation to survive in those camps. So I always take the motivation from him that whenever I feel that I'm in those situations when there is no positive thing, I always used to think that how he would have been there. Uh, he would have survived in those situations when there was no positive thing, but his purpose kept him alive.
Yeah.
So if he can survive that experience, that I feel that I can do that, and that's always give the motivation. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the top things that really helped me overcome all these challenges is volunteering. I
Yeah.
used to volunteer a lot. in orphanages, association. I even created, when I was a student at the university, created an association for the people with difficulty with their eye problems and so on. And I was always busy. I really didn't have, okay, one of the things that I did, and it was not fully the right thing to do, is that I kept myself very, very busy and then focused on learning from people and learning from the challenges. uh, the bad things about being so busy is sometimes you don't get to connect with yourself and acknowledge what's going on inside. And sometimes being busy makes you also avoid to face
Yeah.
certain things within you. And then, of course, I learned that throughout my journey, I learned to be mindful, and then to accept and to acknowledge what I am nurturing from inside, and to accept that hurt and those emotions that makes me feel so bad about certain situations. And then that, and to tell myself that's okay, that's really
Yeah.
okay to be. Every single person is struggling somehow. I mean, I learned that when I was volunteering. I learned that when I started coaching, and sometimes I met people that you for sure think that they are happy, successful, having it all, and then when
Yeah.
you learn about their struggles, you're like, oh my god, this is
Yeah.
amazing. And then you learn that every single person is struggling with something. And that's why I learned not to judge people, because
Yeah.
what you see about people is really not the reality, because people never
Yeah.
knew about, even my close members, family members, they didn't know that I had in my life 14 surgeries, because
Oh
most
my God.
of them I had to travel, and I had to travel alone, and I had to do surgeries in Paris, in the US, and I had to go from one clinic to another, from one hospital to another. But I didn't want to share that, because at some point I didn't want to be a burden to anyone, or to feel that
Yeah. Yeah.
some,
That's
okay, so
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's like we don't know what's going on in other people's lives, so it's better not to judge. And one thing that I really like to, I mean, I'm glad that you pointed out here that, it's uh, when you want to deal with your own problem, it's better to start helping others, because that's the only way you feel more satisfied. Because when you help other, you get some satisfaction, you get the happiness that you, and when you help others, you also find your way out also. So it's, I mean, the quote is that we rise by lifting other. It's actually very true that when you help people to find their way, you actually find your own way as well. But as you mentioned also, that you need to connect with yourself. It's not only just keeping yourself very busy in just volunteering. You need to help people, but also take some time out for yourself, because self care is not a luxury, it is a necessity. You need to take some time out for yourself to connect yourself. And that's what you have written in your book also, because that's what you have written, that your transformation was done when you actually get the chance to get the self realization, and that gave you resilience. So that was amazing journey, that and that's why your book is giving so much inspiration to me and to many other people, that how your struggles converted into your strength when you realize that these are there for a reason. These are there for to give you a lesson, and when you learn that lesson, you are able to actually make it into your strength. So
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And thank you for the read. Really, I really appreciate that. I mean, I had people writing to me about the book and telling me, oh my God, I can relate to your story. I didn't, or others telling me, oh, I thought I was the only one who was struggling. And then that helped me just relate. And then and just calm
Yeah.
down and try to be more optimistic and grateful
Yeah.
that I still have my family and I still have my health. So we don't realize how great our lives is until we hear other stories. And even my
Absolutely.
story, I mean, when you read the book, you feel like my life was miserable, and it was not. I mean, even
Yeah.
with those challenges, I learned
Yeah.
a lot and I traveled. You see, when I had the surgeries everywhere, I was focused. Okay, what's the good thing about this? What's the good thing about it? This is how I always, my mind was functioning. I was traveling, I was learning from, I was meeting people from different countries and cultures. Even in being in a hospital for months, I used to sit there and talk to people, learn from them. And the learning is that my struggle was peanut compared to the others. So you see,
Yeah.
um, you can struggle and have a difficulty, either a crisis, financial crisis, health crisis, whatever it is. And the way we handle it in our mind is really what makes a difference. And if
Absolutely.
you develop the skills of resilience, and resilience is like a saving account, it is there that it's not something that it is you will find like easily, because you need to train your mind, you need to save money so that you can tap to it when you are in a difficulty. This is the same thing as resilience. You need to develop the skill so that whenever you are in difficulty, you know that there is a backup system behind.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you develop that those skills by developing the mindset, by building a strong support network, practicing self-care, as you said,
Yeah.
promoting physical, mental, and emotional well-being. It's a lot of things, and it's not one shot. It is a process, and it's
Yeah.
not something that you learned and you say, "Hey, it's in my resume. Now I have
Yeah.
resilience." No,
Yeah. It's,
because life challenges will always surprise you, and today you may handle things very well.
yeah.
Tomorrow, we don't know. It depends on
Yeah.
how your saving are going.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. And
just
yeah, that's true. And it's basically it's a lifelong process that we go through it each time. It's not something that you just learned it overnight and you said that okay, I'm the expert. Like we are always learning something new from our daily experiences, from meeting people, and we never know that who can teach what lesson. I mean, a child can teach us a big lesson, so
Absolutely.
it's we need to be open, and we need to be learning all the time. It all depends on the mindset. It's all depends on how receptive we are,
Mhm.
and that's it. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
when well, my first challenge was the loss of my eye, but I had a lot of other challenges in my life. But as I worked very hard on developing that resilient mindset, after that, now whenever I'm faced with something, I'm like, if I manage to do this, I can do this. And
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
what kept helping me. If I managed to overcome the loss of my eye and all the surgeries and the pain
Yeah.
and chronic pain, I can
Yeah.
handle anything in my life.
Yeah.
So you see, whenever you develop the skill, it will become easy. And then repetition, practice makes it
Yeah.
easier for you.
Yeah. And that applies, as you said, that you learn from one aspect of life and you apply it to another, and that exactly happens in the business and in the professional life as well. Because most of the time I've seen like many entrepreneurs, they start their business with full of enthusiasm, and but with few challenges they give up their hope. They say that this is not for me. And here I think they need to learn, whether, as you mentioned, whether you're facing a health problem, financial problem, or a problem in like struggling
Mhm.
with the business, it's just the same skill. You need to keep going. You need to retrain your mind to see the opportunities in the midst of all these challenges and adversities. So
Absolutely.
that's, yeah, that's completely, I can agree. I know we can keep going on about this topic because it's a vast topic, and it's like the more you share your experience, and the more we can learn, because I believe the best way of learning is through stories, through personal life experiences. No matter how many theories you read in the book, it
Mhm.
doesn't teach you that much when you either go through the experience or you learn from others' experience. And
Absolutely.
that's why it is important to actually share your story as well, because you don't know that how much your story can click to other, and they will feel inspired, they will feel motivated to go one more day, and that can give them a hope. So I always encourage people that if they have anything, just share with the people. It can spark the inspiration or ignite the motivation in people's life. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So before I actually close this show or finish the show, what one advice would you give our audience today to develop mental resilience?
The one thing that I would say is that you are stronger than you think, and never give up on yourself.
Yeah.
Because at some moments we may feel helpless, we may feel like we're alone in our struggles. And believe me, the moment you tap into your mind and you listen to that mind chatter and you do something about it, you flip it. Because what happens is that very often people are not even aware of the mind chatter. They keep telling
Yeah.
themselves, "Oh, I cannot. I am. No one is supporting me, and no one supports me. By the way, no one.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I had the support of my father, but that was limited to financial aspects. But at some point, I had to handle a lot of things by myself, and I didn't have the
Yeah.
resources. I was not a coach, and I didn't have any except my
Yeah.
willingness to make a change and go and read and learn and change things. So the one thing that I would like to keep in your mind is that really go and listen. Try to
Yeah.
listen to what your mind is telling you and
Yeah.
flip it
Yes.
and telling yourself that I can do it. Really, you can do it.
Yeah, that's a very good advice, and uh, because most of the time we think that we are not strong enough, but actually it's not true. It all depends in your mind. It all
Mhm.
depends what you telling yourself, what your mental chatter is actually giving you, and you need to choose those voices.
Yeah,
That is it disempowering you or is it empowering you? Choose the voice that actually help you go further, and give a shut up call to those which actually putting or dragging you backwards.
yeah.
So that's very important, and that's a brilliant message.
Uh,
So
You
yeah.
know what I would like to add also is that sometimes we don't pay attention to the signs and messages that God or universe, whatever you would like to call it,
Yeah.
that gives us to learn from our experiences.
Yeah.
And sometimes they go unnoticed. And this
Yeah.
is something that I learned. There are experiences, there are difficulties you may go through, but sometimes there are things that will happen in your life that are meant to give you
Yeah.
a message. And I
Yeah.
talk about this in my book because
Yeah.
I used to play karate, and then my coach gave us some push-ups to do, and I was just there trying to finish
Mm.
some, unable to finish all of them. And he stopped me and he told me, "What is your enemy?" And I laughed. I said, "Well, I
Yeah.
don't have an enemy." He said,
Yeah.
"No, you have your enemy. You have an enemy, your mind." And
Yeah.
he told me, "Look, your mind is telling you not to finish these push-ups." So, and
Yeah.
then this is where I came to understand that in every single situation we have a choice, either to
Yeah.
do the thing or to choose not to.
Yeah.
So, okay, the why I am sharing this anecdote, because this is just an anecdote that happened that can go unnoticed in my life, but I had to stop and and tell myself, no way, this is something that is a message from God. This is a message from the universe telling me, do you need to learn from this and you
Yeah.
choose right. So keep learning, okay? Keep
Yes.
learning messages that will pop up in your life in different ways. And you know,
Yeah.
Green, there is no coincidence. Everything
Yeah.
is meant for something. Every single thing is meant to teach you something.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. This synchronization is there. It's not something that nothing happens without a reason. Even if you just trace back all these, like the dots that when
Mhm.
you connect, then it will give you the complete picture that why it happened. That particular actually the anecdote that you share here, that your coach telling you about those, the don't give up, those were the message actually was meant to be given to you.
Exactly.
If you had actually ignored those messages, your life would have been different. But
Yeah.
you chose to listen to this, and then you took the right path. And
Yes.
that's how we
Yes.
need to realize that, maybe like God send us some help in the form of people, in the form of these messages, and
Exactly.
we need to be able to grasp it. I'll just share a very small story here that because since you mentioned here,
Yes.
so like once there was a flood, and everybody was like was drowning, and there was the flood was like the water was everywhere, and at the end, like one person went up to the roof of his house, and he said that if God wants to save, he will save me. I have a strong belief that. And then after a while, there was a boat came and said like, hey, do you want to help? We can save you. He said, no, I have a faith in God, he will save me. And after a while, there was a helicopter, it's a rescue helicopter. They said that, do you want to help? We can save you. He said, no, I have a faith in God, God will save me. And then he died, and then when he went to the heaven, and then he asked God, why you didn't save me? I had a strong faith in you. And then the God said that, I
Thank you.
sent people to save you. It was you who actually stopped taking or refused to take the help. So I think that's so
Yes.
much relatable here, that
Mm.
God, our universe, send these message. And I will tell you that all these, the pain that you went through maybe was there to help people. It was there to inspire people. You never know that how many lives you will impact through this
Yes.
book.
Yes.
So this was there, it was meant to be. And you take those signs from the universe, from the God, that it is there, meant to be there to help people.
Yeah.
So that's, you did a great job.
That's why sometimes I meet some people and they ask me questions and I respond, and I feel like that it was an aha moment for them, and then they're so happy and grateful and they start thanking me, and I tell them, don't thank me, I am just the messenger here. It
Yeah.
meant that we meet today, and it was meant that you hear this message today, and I am just here a messenger, not like a and
Yeah.
it happens to me too sometimes. And when I'm not feeling good, and this during this 7 months of surgery, I had to keep my eye, the patch on my eye for months, and it was so painful to keep that. And
Mhm.
then there were days I was not really feeling good, and I will wake up and I will open LinkedIn, or will open anything that will come across my way, and I find like a very inspiring, positive message that tells me something. I really take it seriously. If I
Yeah.
have an inspiring message that tells you don't give up,
Yeah.
things will get better, but keep moving, I will take
Yeah.
it seriously. In that message alone can change the mood and my mood, and then I will reset everything, and then I'll do something about it. And that's why at the end of at the end of the book, when I started writing the book, uh, the moment I finished the book,
Yeah.
my treatment stopped and
Okay.
everything stopped. And
Hmm.
this this really made me think that that book is meant to be written
Yeah.
this moment of my time, because the purpose also of my book is not just to write a book. It was a
Yeah.
healing process. It
Yeah.
meant that I needed to stop and process, go back, and then forgive and do some internal
Mhm.
yeah, introspection and move on in my life. So I
Yeah.
really believe that delay in my life, whatever I call it delay, or it's meant
Yeah.
for something, and the book is meant to be written during this 7 months that I
Yeah.
needed healing. And the
Yeah.
moment I finished that book, the moment my healing uh, uh, it started getting better, and then all the medical treatment started taking shape, and I finished all the
Yeah.
process with my doctors and oncologists. That was
Yeah.
amazing, really amazing. I had to share that with my surgeon. She was like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god!"
Yeah, that's great. So it's
and
a wonderful, inspiring story. Thanks for sharing us with your story with us today. And I'm sure our audience must have got great inspiration from you. And so, how they can reach out to you? I know you're very active on LinkedIn. So, any other way if they need your help, especially in developing resilience in business or in personal life, how they can reach out?
LinkedIn, they can
Yeah.
direct message me. There is an email on my bio also.
Okay.
There is my website, hananeandanoua.com, or they
Yeah.
can get my book on Amazon, and
Sure.
there is a novel.
Yeah, it's I highly recommend her book. So please, if you want, if you're looking for inspiration, please go and check out Be Your Best, and you will really find a good message from there to be inspired and motivated to go further in your life. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thanks to all the audience who've joined us today and shared their comments to keep this conversation more lively. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I really thank you for the read, for inviting me. I thank all the audience and their remarks and comments. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, and bye bye.
Bye.